I know it's an old meme as of now, the girl holding up the sign saying your music saved me, but I still think the whole situation of people obsessing over their favorite artist to be a relevant thing that pops up today. Now, whether you see it as a problem or not is of your own accord. I mean, I personally don't care. People can spend their free time however they like. That's none of my or anyone else's business. But with the absolutely huge number of fan pages that are more relevant than ever, especially in the music industry, I just felt I had to speak on it, especially as someone who is somewhat invested in that community and follows these artists relatively heavily for their music and other things they offer as well. Now, one thing I find interesting though about this whole stan culture is how it is almost exclusively centered around musical artists. I mean, even underground artists who are just popping up have dedicated armies of fan pages, which is just not anything you see anywhere else. I mean, you don't see fan pages for Jared Dudley, even though he's an NBA player, because he's just a bench player at the end of the day. Now, the reason for this is pretty obvious, as no other industry is able to give off the emotional attachment to the viewers than music. Artists' almost sole purpose is to be the soundtrack to a person's life in a way. And with that comes connections to artists from fans that are completely one-sided, with only the viewer, not the artist, reciprocating a feeling of a relationship or a friendship. Now, the Twitch and live streaming community as a whole have a word for this called parasocial relationships, where the viewer of a stream may feel like they are in a weird way friends with the person they are constantly watching. Now, although I don't think the whole stan accounts thing is nearly as problematic as the parasocial relationship culture that is going on with Twitch is, I at least thought it was interesting to point out. Anyways, back to what we were talking about, with these fan pages and active subreddits dedicated to several artists. Besides what I said about it earlier, where it is completely fine to follow an artist and be a fan of them, the real trouble starts when it becomes idolization and leans into stan culture. Stan, by the true definition of the word, at least in my opinion, is coming from where it was originally made first use of in the song Stan by Eminem. And in that song, Eminem portrays Stan as someone who goes to absolute insane measures just to capture the attention of their favorite artist. So, I don't use the word stan lightly, but when people are changing their worldviews and whatnot for an artist, that is when I start using the term a little more liberally. The whole stan thing and fan cultures nowadays is so terrible because it allows artists whose whole careers are lies. And yes, I hate to inform you that your favorite artist is not from the streets and was not randomly found at a school talent show by a huge label executive and signed and thrown into stardom like they may want you to think. And if that is even somewhat true, it has been majorly exaggerated by the label for the public. And no, celebrities and artists should not be protected from literal crimes because they make music you connect with. Now, for what reason am I talking about this, and where am I going with it, you may ask? Well, this whole video idea came up for me a few days ago with the Lil Uzi Vert situation, where if you don't know, a few months back, Uzi ran into a coffee shop where he had knowledge that his ex-girlfriend and a fellow rapper, St. John, were basically on a date. He ran in there, started a fight with the rapper, threw a punch, fell in his own, and had his gun fall out of his waist and onto the floor. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're gonna run up on your ex-girlfriend of 5 years without a relationship, try and fight her new man, and then get totally embarrassed, throw your own punch and knock yourself out, that is just not a good look in the first place. Anyway, now, I don't care what your perspective on this is, but having a loaded gun just fall out in the middle of a crowded restaurant is terrible and puts innocent people in harm's way when it was absolutely not his place to interfere in his ex-girlfriend's situation at all. Anyway, what really bothered me about this though was not the actual event, but Uzi's fans' reactions even after he was charged and basically admitted to the crime. I know he pleaded no contest, not guilty, but come on, we know he did it. Anyway, Uzi's fans were defending the absolute life out of this man when he clearly deserved this punishment, if not more. And this is coming from a huge fan of Uzi. He's my favorite artist by far and has been as long as I've liked rap. And the thing is, this situation is honestly not that bad. There have been way worse crimes that rappers have done and had pushed under the rug due to their fan base defending them to the end. Anyway, what I'm trying to show is the ridiculous amount of effort fans are willing to put in just to protect an artist who they believe they relate to enough to try to defend their name. But this is just ridiculous. This is where I bring it back to the "Your Music Saved My Life" meme, because that's what these artists and labels want you to feel towards their music to keep you attached and continue listening to it. As soon as an artist is signed, which is often a lot sooner than when they announce it, the artist label is crafting a story for the artist and a character that they know will resonate with the type of people that will listen to their music. Have a sad emo artist who raps about suicide and drug use? Have them be portrayed as someone who does these things. Have a street rapper rapping about gangs and their affiliations? Portray them as just that. Now, I'm not saying that a lot of these artists and rappers were not at some point like this, because they likely were. All I'm saying is it's heavily exaggerated with a purpose. Anyway, all of this is to try and get the point across that your favorite artist is not worth defending. They're just as much as a human as you and I are, and should not be held to a lower or higher standard than any of us. I mean, what is genuinely the point of defending an artist for their terrible deeds when they and their team have been putting on a facade for you and the rest of their fans the whole time? Anyways, that's all I have for today. Let me know what you guys think. Would you say you're a stan of any rapper or artist? Or do you feel like artists should be held to a higher or lower standard than just normal people? Because to me, in my opinion, they are normal people, and anything else is just ludicrous. Alright, that's all for today. If you liked, make sure to like. If you want to sub, go ahead and sub. And that's all. Peace.